I worked on this chainsaw for hours, and tomorrow I give it back to the customer, still broke. Hey y'all, thanks for tuning back into Chickanic. I hope everybody's having a great week. Yes, I have got a crazy story for y'all. So I want you to pull up a chair, pull out a brewski, kick back, because I am fixing to tell you the craziest story about a customer's $650 chainsaw. But before we get into today's video, if you're a fan of saving time, money, and frustration while fixing your own small engine equipment while watching in-depth tutorials, you've come to the right place because that's what I do. I upload a couple times a week, and if that sounds interesting, hit that like button, smash that subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell, and please leave a comment. I love to read through the comments, and I will reply to all the early commenters. So there's something oddly satisfying about being really good at fixing small engines. It's like a dance between precision and patience. Each engine, whether it's a lawnmower, a chainsaw, a dirt bike, has its own rhythm and personality. And well, I've spent a bunch of my life learning their language. There's an art to it, you see. The way you listen to the hum, the rattle, the sputter, and you can almost hear what's wrong with it. It's like they're telling you their secrets and confessing their troubles. When you open them up, it's like performing surgery on a tiny little metal patient. You delicately tinker, adjust, replace until you hear that purr of satisfaction when it roars back to life. But let me tell you, for all those victories, there are moments of defeat that haunt me. Those are the times when my best efforts cannot coax an engine back to life. You see, these engines have a lifespan. They age, they wear out, and sometimes they've simply reached the end of their road. It's a bitter pill to swallow, especially for someone like me who gets so much satisfaction in reviving these mechanical creatures. And in those moments of defeat, I can't help but feel the pang of frustration. It's like I failed a loyal companion that's relied on me to keep them going. But I've learned something crucial from my experiences, and it's beyond nuts and bolts. I've learned humility. I've learned in life that there are things that you cannot fix no matter how hard you try. And it reminds me that even though I'm really good at breathing life back into these machines, I'm just a human and there are some things I can't control. So as frustrating as those moments are, they keep me grounded, reminding me that even the best of us have our limits, and sometimes it's okay to admit defeat and let it go. So with all these videos you watch of mine and you see me fixing these things and you think that anything I touch gets fixed, I want you to know there are many, many times that I work on things and it doesn't work out. Which brings me to my customers. Stihl MS311 Chainsaw that I have had at my repair shop since March, that I have spent hours on trying to figure out why. Why won't you just run? You should. Why won't you do this for me? It ended up being a really crazy thing. So, backstory. Customer brings their chainsaw in March. They say that it will not start, that they have already replaced the coil and the carburetor. That already has me worried because this saw looks brand new. So I know the question you're asking. Why, Bree? Why would you have a customer's chainsaw for 5 months? Well, let me tell you. When the customer brought it in, the first thing I do on every unit I work on is I check the fuel. And what was in the tank, guys? Water. It was probably half full of water. So that was the customer's original issue. There was nothing wrong with this chainsaw other than water in the fuel tank. So I pour the water out, I put some fresh fuel in, it doesn't run. Now, the customer told me, though, when he couldn't get it to start, he wanted to fix it himself. So he bought a coil and a carburetor, and he put them on. Now, I'm going to tell you guys, when it comes to coils, do not buy aftermarket coils. They rarely work well, and they will not last long. And the carburetors, the aftermarket carburetors for the Stihls, Husqvarnas, Echoes, Redmax, anything that's of value, I do not buy aftermarket because even if they might work right in the beginning, you're going to find the first season, they're going to blow out and they're going to start pouring gas through the carburetor. They're just not made well. So I tell him, bring me your old parts and let me see if I can get it going. Well, when he brings me his old part, his original carburetor, he broke it when he was taking it off. So I go ahead and put his original coil on, try to start it, it still won't start. So I've got the customer's OEM coil back on the chainsaw. I've got his aftermarket carburetor on there, but it will not get any fuel. So I'm thinking it's a bad carb. I got to order an OEM one. So that's what I do. I call the customer. I tell him, I've got to get you an OEM carburetor because this aftermarket one is not working. Tell him that it's like almost $100. And he's like, I don't know if I want to spend that much. Okay, go ahead and do it. It is a $650 saw. So I order a Stihl OEM carburetor. I put the carburetor on when it comes in and it still don't start. I don't understand it. It has a beautiful piston and cylinder, not a scratch in it. I've taken the muffler off, looked inside that way, taken the carburetor off, looked inside that way, had my HD endoscope down in there, making sure every nook and cranny was perfect. It is beautiful. The compression is peak. There's no reason that this saw shouldn't run. Well, I'm busy. It's summertime. Things get stuck under the counter in my problem child section. The customer really didn't have the money to pay for it all at the time anyways, so it just sits. So finally the customer calls me last week and he's like, hey, you got my saw ready yet? And I'm like, you know what? I haven't even thought about your chainsaw, but let me get back on it. So I decide the only way I'm gonna figure this out is to tear it apart. And that's what I did. And have you ever watched the show Forensic Files? It's like a total twist at the end to find out what was really wrong with everything. Well, that's what happened. So I have everything tore apart on my bench and I go to take the rewind off because I'm going to double check the flywheel section again, even though I've already been in there. I've already looked at everything while I was putting the original coil back on. I'm going to go deeper. Everything looks fine under here. Let's remove the flywheel. I'm just gonna go ahead and bring you in because you're gonna want to see this. I just went ahead and left everything loose so I could show you. Let me take this flywheel nut off here, remove the flywheel. What is this? What is this gigantic hole in the side of the cylinder? Oh my gosh. No. This is insane. Oh my gosh. No wonder I had compression, but I didn't have impulse. I was getting no gas because there was no pressure underneath the piston. So somehow, probably when he replaced the coil, he left something down here and kept trying to start it and broke his cylinder, an entire gigantic hole out the side. So I got the carburetor, everything off right now so you can see this, but you've got an impulse hole right here that goes underneath the piston, and that's how it actually pulsates and draws fuel into the carburetor. Well, it had no way to send any kind of pressure to the carburetor to actually pump fuel into the cylinder and make it run. Oh my gosh. So I have to call the customer and tell him, I'm sorry, but after I've had your chainsaw for 5 months, it's broke. Like double X. I gotta have a piston and cylinder for it. Do you want to do that? No, he doesn't. So after hours of working on this, when I didn't have the OEM carburetor, I went through the aftermarket carburetor. I've taken apart, put together multiple times, looking at everything. I have to just accept defeat. Now, there were a lot of variables in this particular situation, but sometimes things just don't work out for you and for me. So I'm not taking this defeat as a weakness. I'm taking it as a lesson learned, and hopefully you can too. Thanks again for tuning in to Chickanic. Hopefully this video saved you time, money, and frustration. Absolutely not. If you haven't found me at Facebook, find me at facebook.com/Chickanic. Find me at Instagram at TheRealChickanic, or find me on Chickanic.com where you get your own t-shirts, hoodies, and long sleeve shirts. Thanks guys, and have a great day.